Hello guys, welcome back to another video on this channel. Today, I'm going to be explaining some redstone stuff and some things that you need to know to be good at redstone. So, the first thing I probably should explain is how dust works. The redstone dust, this little guy here. So, you can place it down, obviously, like I just showed you. You can grab a powering source and turn it on, like that kind of. But this can also redirect into a sticky piston. So you can power that, and a sticky piston that can push the block and also pull it back. But it can only push 12 blocks at a time. If you go 13 blocks, it won't push. Then there's a piston, which is practically the same thing, but it will push it and won't pull it back. So those two are pretty important to know. So there's where the redstone dust. You can connect it anyway as long as it runs into that. And also, something really cool about this is you can run it into a block. So this dust, as you can see, is running into this block right here, which then can power this sticky piston. It makes that a powered block, so you can power it just like that, which is very, very useful to compact your redstone contraptions. Next thing is a repeater. Now this thing is actually way important, because you can do like so many things with this bad boy. So you can obviously power it like that. It will run just like redstone dust and stuff. But there's something very important about this. You cannot, first of all, power from the side of it. But when you have redstone dust, you can power on the side of it. But that's kind of useful because if you're doing two lines of redstone, you can use a repeater and also dust. But this repeater can also do another thing. If you place it down and you tap on it, it will go like that, right? Well, that is something called ticks. So if I go like this, and I place another one of these down, I'm really bad with my phone here. If I place another one of these down, like this, okay, and it powers it. So let's just put that there and that there. So this one, let's just go like this, and let's make this go like you would think that this would go at the same time, right? Because they're both getting powered. But this one will go first because this is one tick. That is 4 ticks. Okay? So this one will power, then that one, because it takes 4 ticks for this one to power. You can also shorten this by going 2 ticks, which means that it will barely be off, 3 ticks, and then obviously 4 ticks. And you can also go like 3 ticks here, stuff like that. And that's actually very useful, so you can time when piston power or when redstone does power, so you can time things. Okay, the next thing I'm going to be showing you is redstone torch. Now this thing is pretty useful because you can only power from the side of it and also from the top of it. Like if you place a block right here, it will power it. Okay? So that is very useful for many, many reasons. You can also place this on the side of a block and power it right here, right here, right here. And then also you can go like this and place that right there, sorry. And you can power it just like this. Wrong way. Just like that. But, now you gotta be careful here. Something I forgot to tell you with redstone dust is if you power a piece of redstone dust, like that, if you power that, that redstone dust will power all around it, and also the block under it, not the block above it. So it's kind of like the opposite of a torch, but it will power the block under it, so that will power. So that's also very useful. But if you are using a torch, and that block, it will go something like that, and then it will just burn out. It's called a torch burnout. So that torch will power this block, which then will power that redstone dust, which then will power that block, and then depower that, which then depowers that, and then turn it back on. But then it goes super duper fast, so it's like a clock, but then it burns out. And that's something very useful that you can actually use in many redstone contraptions if you want to time things. Observers. Now this bad boy is revolutionary in redstone. So as you can see, this little red part right here is obviously going to be the power source, okay? So you can power blocks with that. But you can't just like tap it or turn it on like that. It's not a full block, so you can't do that. what you do is you see that little face right there? He's like squinting. That face will detect block updates. So it will power when there's a block in front of it or any update. Like if that's there, that will be an update because it's updating it. And that guy will check it and tell to this end of the thing, oh, you need power because there's a block right here. And you can do things like this, which is a clock, which is actually pretty useful. You can even do things like this, which is also another clock. You can also detect it with another observer. So this observer right here will power, but only you can detect another observer from right here or here. You cannot detect it from above or under. So that's something you really need to know. But this also, when it gives off a block update, you might be able to see that it goes really, really fast and then turns off, because this observer right here will give off a 1 tick pulse. Like I was saying to all those with the repeaters and stuff, a 1 tick pulse. But then the 1 tick pulse will fire and then turn off immediately. Next I'm going to be telling you guys about is a comparator. Now this thing, when it first came out, it was kind of useless, but now they've updated it a little bit to be extremely useful, like crazy useful. This bad boy right here can detect comparator outputs. Like let's say you have a chest, okay? So right now that chest isn't detecting anything. But when you put an item in the chest, that will power and give off a redstone signal. So you can then detect things like that. But another cool thing about this is if you put a stack in there, you can see that only gives off a 1 pulse energy. So what you can do is if you put more things in there, it will give off another pulse energy. But another cool thing about this is you can also detect it through a block, just like that. You can detect items through a block with that, which is also very useful for compacting things. Also, you can also power it just like this, like a normal redstone component. And also you can increase the length by just putting that repeater there. But there's also another thing I forgot to tell you guys. With the repeater, you can actually increase the amount of pulse that is coming out of it. So remember this thing? So right here, it's just going to give off a 1, it's just going to give off a 1 pulse energy. So if you place that right there, okay, obviously it's not going to power because it's off. But this one will power because it's on. So what you can do is you can actually place a repeater here, and then it will power, and then also that redstone dust will so it's kind of like it's like making it so that it powers all the way to the full signal strength, which is very, very useful. Like if you're making a redstone line, then you run out of signal strength, you can just place a repeater and then it will continue the line. Trapped chests. So the way you can tell the difference from a trapped chest and the chest is it will have that little red thing, which is redstone. Obviously it's a redstone component. Chests are also kind of like a redstone component, but trap chests are like a big boy redstone component. So you can run a redstone signal out from that. So when I open this chest, you see how I powered that? Okay? So you can set up traps, that's why it's called a trap chest, to fire when they open it, but it cannot power the block. It cannot power through blocks. Just like that. So it's kind of the opposite of a chest, but it can power the block below it, and also I think it can power the block above it. I'm not 100% positive on that one. But so you can do something like this, which I have some TNT here, and you can just go like that, and when they open it, the TNT will ignite. So kind of for like all those loot, oh poor sheep. But like all those, if you are playing on a server with somebody that likes to take your loot, you can kind of trap them like that. Hoppers, this bad boy is crazy useful. So if I drop an item into that, the hopper will pick the item up. So if you're building a farm or something, that's what you want to use. But you can also redirect that. So this, do you see that little tube on the bottom? This hopper, if it picks up an item, it will run into that and then put the item in that hopper like that. And now all those items are going into that hopper. So you can also go like this. So let's grab a chest here. And if a hopper runs into that chest, like this, you drop an item down at them, all those items will go inside the hopper and then go inside the chest. But as long as the hopper is running into that chest, it will power. So it could be like that way, it could be that way, as long as it's running into the chest. Droppers, it's kind of the name of what it says. So all a dropper really does is it will drop an item when you pull it, when you give it a redstone signal. So what you can do with this is, if you also are having a farm or something, there's something called an auto dropper. I'm just going to quickly build one real quick. Okay, here's a little auto dropper design. So if you put an item in here, it will immediately just start firing all the items out. So it's kind of like a transportation device, kind of, but it's pretty useful because this also gives a block update to this bad boy here. So if you power this right here, let's just grab a sticky piston. If you power that, it will give off a block update. So hang on, yeah, if you also break this and depower it, it would also give off a block update. So yeah, that's pretty useful. Dispenser. Now this is kind of like a dropper, but as you can see, it looks different. It looks like a penguin in shock. There's the little eyes in the face, and there's the mouth in shock. So what you can do with this is it drops out items like a dropper, right? So you can do that, but also let's grab a dropper and a dispenser. So here's a dispenser, here's a dropper. So let's grab a lava bucket. Lava. Okay. And if I put a lava bucket in there, and then if I put a lava bucket in here, and I power both of these. Oh, by the way, these also aren't directional, so you can't power it from the side like that. You have to power it from the top or directly in it. But if I power this, let's just grab a lever. Okay, when I power this, that one will dispense it, and that one will actually make the lava go in. If I power it again, it will suck the lava back out. So that's why those are useful. They're kind of like two different things. Okay, now let's go on to the daylight sensor. Now this thing is kind of useful because, so you see how it is on right now? So if it's on like that, okay, so as you can see, it's yellow, which means that it will detect when the sun is up. So it will detect sun. If it's blue, it will turn off because it's not detecting any sun. So that will detect the moon. So if I turn it to the time to night, then it will turn on because it detected that it's night. So it's like a daylight sensor, which is why it's called a daylight sensor. So yeah, that's what that does. Oh, and also you can do cool things with it, like this little redstone contraption I'm going to build real quick. What this redstone contraption does is it's kind of like wireless redstone. And so it was designed by Nembomb. And as you can see, there are two daylight sensors right there. And one of them has direct sunlight, which means it has a higher power strength. The other one is getting blocked by a piston, which means that has less sunlight strength. So the other one is making it so it's not powering the other comparator. It's kind of hard to explain, but it practically means that that one's less and that one's stronger, so it makes the other one power. You're going to have to watch this video. Redstone lamps. Now, redstone lamps is kind of like what the name says. It's practically just a light source that you can turn on using redstone powering. But what's also cool about that is if you power it directly, and then it can also give off a redstone signal because it's counted as a full block. So that's pretty useful, but that's practically all it does. Except for it can also give off an observer update, which is also pretty useful, just like that, as you saw the piston move. Okay, now we got the stone pressure plates and all pressure plates. So, what these does is, if you place redstone dust down like that and you just step over it, it'll power it. It also powers a block it's under as well. But as you can see, if I throw an item on it, it doesn't really do anything. But then you have weighted pressure plates, which if you do throw an item on it, it works the same way, but it will give off a signal strength. But if you put two, so right now I have a stack of plates on it, but if I put two stacks of something on it, it'll give off 2 signal strength, and if I put 3, give off 3 signal strength. And then also we got the heavy weighted pressure plate. It does the same thing, it's just iron.
Okay, so now we got the tripwire hook and also string, but string can also get off an observer update just like that if you walk on and off. But I probably should have said that for the observer. So what you do for tripwires and string is you just place them on the block like that. Then you get string and place some just like that. Now when you walk over, it should power the blocks that the tripwires are on. So watch this. You ready? If I walk over it, should power that on just like that. So that's useful for traps and stuff. And I'm gonna build a little bit of a trap myself just to explain it. Okay, so as you can see, I built a little bit of a trap here. Now let's say the looter see that chest and they want what's in it. They walk over it. Watch what will happen. If they walk over it, just like this. So it obviously powers those blocks, but if they walk over it, lava will dispense out and it will practically immediately kill them. If they're wearing armor, it will kill them a little slower. Obviously, its armor protects you. Now we have the button, and it's just like a lever. You press it, and then it doesn't last forever. That's practically it. Now we have the redstone block. Now this is pretty useful because it practically just powers everything around it. Like if you place it anywhere, it powers. But it's also movable. It's a movable object. So it's also redirectional. So it's like a lot of things, but it powers it. And then you can also move it around to power another object. Okay, now I'm going to give you guys a tutorial here. And what we're going to do is a double piston extend tutorial. So you're just going to place an observer there, 2 pistons, an observer, a block right there, and then a repeater set to 2 ticks, then some dust there, a block, and then a repeater set to 1 tick, then some dust there. Wait, that actually has to be a repeater there, and then some dust right there. And now that should pretty much be it. So if you go like that, oh, okay, so there's one thing wrong, and that's this. This actually needs to be 3 ticks. And that should be it. Just to be safe, I'll turn to 4 ticks, but that is it. Well, anyway, guys, thanks for watching. This has been Dynamite R64, and I'll catch you guys in my next video. See ya.